Hi, welcome, and thank you so much for being on here. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for having me. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be here
Awesome.
with you.
Awesome. So let's jump right into it. So the question for you is just walk us through where you were before you decided that coaching was going to be a thing, before you made a decision to join our program. Walk me through what like your daily reality was. What were you giving away for free? Just give us the backstory.
Okay. I was already the person that people was coming to. I was the colleague that will be pulled aside after a meeting to discuss what I think, what's my view. I was the person that people will want to talk to at lunchtime to find out what's the strategy. And I was giving advice, I was giving my time, and I was giving guidance and guidelines that would actually change people's lives. Actually, what happened is after experiencing a kind of conversation with me, people will walk out with clarity. People will come to me when they are at the crossroad concerning their career, mostly, sometimes their personal life, even. And I will just gift that with that clarity and that orientation I would give people and with strategy that will change their life tremendously. So that was my daily life. So because it was my normal, what I didn't realize is that I wasn't just giving clarity and insight, I was giving something premium. To be frank with you, I never saw myself as a coach because I didn't call that coaching. I was calling it probably friendship, being a supportive and caring human being. There was nothing wrong with that, but I believe that there was more to it. So that was the restriction that I put in the way I was interacting with most of the people around me.
So what was that moment where you said, "Oh, this is more than friendship and I could get paid for it"?
I like the question because that actually happened many years ago, approximately 8 years ago, believe it or not, that's far. I was actually having a session with one of my mentee, and after giving her a few guideline advice and strategy on how she's supposed to elevate her career, then at the same time she asked me, "But how do you combine all that? I believe you should be a coach." When she said that, I would say that I did not receive it, not in a bad way because it was something wrong, but it mostly because I never pictured myself being a coach. Maybe I really didn't understand what it was. And at the same time, I did not foresee it as a career, to be frank with you, for me, because my eyes and my passion was mostly in satellite telecommunication while I was actually doing coaching as well and to it. After having that conversation, though I did not embrace it per se, but I didn't reject it either. I started contemplating it, but I was like, yeah, maybe someday. Until a few years later, it became so obvious. The number of people that I impacted, the number of life that changed, the type of direction and strategy that I gave that kind of brought clarity, not brought, but actually that brought clarity into people's life, that kind of came to mind. I was like, okay, for the past 10 years, I have been impacting lives. And I got to, I would say, a crossword myself where I wanted to dedicate my life in impacting people more intentionally. So I had that Kairos moment and I thought that something needs to happen, something I need a shift. And because I knew it was my season, I would say that I was fortunate enough not to think that I would do it on my own. As a believer, as a Christian, I was privileged to discern time and season. And I believe that was my season for shift. And I knew that if I had to try to figure things out on my own, I will miss that Kairos moment. So I said, I prayed and I asked God to lead me, to guide me. And while it was pondering in my heart, I stumbled in one of your video on Facebook and I was intentional that day. I was like, Lord, lead me this week, lead me this month. I would like to find my coach. And I don't want to just waste time. I want you to connect me to the person who will be connected to my destiny. Because I believe that as a believer, there is no separation between my calling and my career. They are both connected. And I wanted a person that will see that through me and that will speak certain things from me that I wouldn't tell the person, but everything should come together into in form of alignment and clarity. And something that I probably forgot to say is that from the moment I realized that, okay, I wanted to do coaching as a career, I was still doing it, but I was not charging it though, because I acknowledged that I did not have any structure. I did not have any product either. So that was also one of the great motivation for me to to look for a coach. Not that I undermined the impact that I was doing. It was done instantaneously, it was done intentionally, it was done out of instinct in strategy and was producing transformation indeed. However, there was no structure to it. And this is how I decided to join Map the Client.
This is really good. I think I'm thinking to myself, to somebody watching who is saying, I don't know how to discern time and seasons. It took you 8 years. It's been a year that I've been feeling this way. So maybe I need to wait 7 more years. So what began to happen? How does somebody know, no, it's time for me to make that call? It's time for me to get that coach.
I believe that it took 8 years for me because not because I refused to, I was already impacting people, but I believe that for me in particular, when I look at the 8 years that I did not formalize the coaching because I was still doing it, I did not formalize it. As far as I'm concerned, I was building depth for the coaching. But I believe that if anybody's watching me right now, you can still monetize that depth in the process, which is something that I lost. I could have still monetized it while increasing in depth. So this is something that was for my loss. So my experience didn't change, but the money that I lost by not stepping into it formally, this is something that I believe that God will restore to me, and He has already started. So if anybody is watching me and you know that you are impacting life, you are giving free advice, you are changing life, you are bringing clarity, you are transforming people's view, people's perspective. I believe that God has blessed you with something that you can monetize. Actually, I don't want to be too churchy right now, but there is a scripture that comes to my mind. There was the widow who got to a point where she was in debt, she was financially bankrupt, and the children were about to be taken away. When she met the prophet who used to work with her husband, he asked her what was in her house. And every time God will always ask us, what do we have? You've been changing people's lives. So what do we have? That's exactly what you have. So do not separate them. What you have is what you use right now. So don't delay it. That was a mistake from me. I won't say that it was God who told me to delay. No, that was my mistake. It was my lack of judgment. But God has been merciful for me to say, now, you know what? Don't cross this line. Do it now. But you get the privilege to hear me right now. So don't delay it. You can still bank a couple of years of income, which I didn't do in the past, but now I'm here and I'm there and I'm doing it.
Awesome. So let's talk quickly about the journey. Talk to me about what surprised you the most and what you've been able to build while you were in the program.
Okay. The first thing that surprised me the most, I would say overall, the depth and the simplicity. Sometimes because we want something big, we want something that is strong, impactful, we are thinking that it will come with a lot of complication, too much jargon, and I don't know. But the simplicity of the program is what makes it impactful, actually. And there was something in particular for me that struck me the most was a process called the one because in the program there are different exercises, different practical exercises that one needs to do. And one I had to do at the beginning of the program was a one sheet where I had to drop a voice note responding to a few questions, and that revealed my niche. So at the early stage, I was now discovering my niche. It was much more clear. To be frank with you, I didn't have that clarity. So for my case, first of all, my niche was more it was clarified. And then secondly, I could see the blend between, as I mentioned before, my calling and my business because my niche was a blend of all of it. As I said, I come from a background where I'm Christian and I'm operating from the office of the prophet. And I believe that for this time and season, God is rising people in the marketplace to impact nations. So, taking that into consideration, I am now having a business where I impact people. with strategy, elevate them as far as the career is concerned, reposition them as far as the authority is concerned, and push them to a place where they can multiply their income. Now, talking about my experience, particularly after having the one sheet, the next step was that I was able to have a framework that was built today. I built a framework, I have different products that are marketable and that are sellable, that are transformational, which was not in the past. So structure came into place as well. My confidence has been elevated because it is one thing to speak to a person about how you can change their life, but it is something else to be confident and tell people to invest in it. And that confidence was nailed during my time in Mother Client. I was already confident, but I would say that it was nailed. It went to another level. There was a shift that took place.
Thank you for sharing that, Ange. I think from somebody who is sitting and listening and thinking, I think I have something in me, and you are telling me that this program, you also thought you had something, but you didn't have the tangible, you didn't have the business structure, and you're telling me that in a span of months, you everything changed. And people might be saying, are you making money? Because that's the bottom line, right? Is this a profitable business that you're currently running?
I am making money. And the beautiful thing with me is that when I joined the program, I set a target to myself because I was able to create a company. First of all, it's happened at a very early stage of the program, not at the end, just to make sure of that at a very early stage of the program. So within the first 45 days, within the program is a 90 days program. So within the first 45 days, I can tell anybody you should be able to have something at hand to sell because at that time you have an operational company registered under your name and you are able to sell. This is already a disclosure for anybody who's on the outside. Now, the element I can say today, I have paying clients. But I would say mostly that the first time that I signed a client was while I was still in the program. As I say, my target was to sign a client while I was in the program before graduation date, and that happened. And when it happened, it was about the validation, the signature that my investment, my time in the client was productive because there was a result. I wouldn't be sitting here to tell my story if I didn't have any result. It wouldn't make sense. I have paying clients who are experiencing real transformation as far as the income is concerned, as far as the positioning is concerned. You need to apply the principles, which I've done from day one, and I could see the result.
That is impressive. And I want to, without giving away your numbers, because the prices are increasing daily, right? So after this video, yesterday price is not today's price. I want people to be clear that we are talking not $20, right? Like people are not paying you $20 to work with you. People are spending good money to work with you. And so the people that watch might be saying to themselves, I've never paid a coach. I don't think anybody will ever pay me. And so I want to be clear that I don't do low ticket sales. So like I'm not the coach that's going to teach you how to sell a $10 course. I don't do that because most people that I work with don't have a million followers. They don't. And so selling a $10 course for them won't take them anywhere fast. So we are talking about high ticket sales every single time. We are talking about making more in an hour than most of us made working in corporate America in a month, just to give perspective of what we are talking about. And Ange, the fact that you could go from I've never gotten financially paid for this thing that I've been doing, I called it friendship, I called it being helpful, to being able to charge, and not only just charge, to be able to have results. What would you say to them?
I would tell you first, come as you are. You think that you are not confident, but what you've been doing, you did it from a place of confidence, but you just didn't put a name to it. You didn't put a language to it. You didn't put a structure to it. So come as you are. This is one. Secondly, is that the kind of transformation that take place, I wouldn't say that it is $10. It is not, because it is important to understand the investment that one needs to place for transformation. If I'm going to speak to you, probably shifting the table. If you are sitting where I used to be and you choose not to join, that's fair enough. But how much do you lose? I just spoke to you about the kind of time that I wasted, 8 years. The type of program that we offer are premium programs. So it works in thousands. I'm not going to say that it is cheap because we do not offer what is cheap. What we offer is valuable, is transformational. It builds legacy. So when you look at what you want to invest in legacy, you don't want to look at something cheap. You want to invest with something that lasts. You want to invest with something that brings impact, transformation, and that can be reproduced with generation. That's why you have the structure, framework. You are able to reproduce success. You want the success to be multiplied in terms of numbers. Then you understand that you cannot sow a certain kind of seed and expect a small harvest. Invest the right seed so that the harvest that you reap correspond to the seed that you invest. It's just a simple principle. So if you're sitting on the fence, I would say invest because it costs you more not to invest. So I would say join, then don't waste time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ange. So, how do people find you? I know they can definitely screenshot that the barcode.
Mark.
Okay, but where are you at? Where can they find you? Let people know, and we'll also put it in the description under this video.
Okay, people can contact me through my website on www.voiceofvictory.net because I am a strategist leadership who help faith-driven women leaders who are the reliable ones, not the promoted one. I help them step into authority, reposition their career, and multiply the income to the point that they will be stepping into room and not be deniable anymore. So they can join me, contact me through my website. There is a link on my website where one can book a clarity call with me, and you can just click on the link whenever it will be available through this video or through my website, and I'll be able to discuss with you and make sure that your career is repositioned.
Oh, thank you so much, Ange. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Go hit her up. And if you are looking to take your coaching business to the next level, you heard her. Go ahead and book the call. The same call Ange booked that changed her business. And I believe the impact in the lives that she's going to be touching and these women that are going to be able to gain wisdom, promotion, and clarity from working with her. Your women are waiting for you and your guys, your men, right? Your legacy is still waiting to be to unfold, and we want to help you get there. So the time is now. Please click on the link below this video and schedule a call, and we'll be happy to walk you through what the next 90 days could look like for you in your business. Ange, thank you so much for being here. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.